Be a part of the best pro wrestling podcast today by supporting the Going In Raw Patreon. You can enjoy access to the live taping of the show, exclusive merchandise, and patron-only episodes, and so much more. Support Going In Raw today. Click the link in the description. Hey friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome to Going In Raw's weekly wrestling podcast. We're doing sort of a special episode today because big tragic news came through last night. Joni Lore, CHYNA, founding member of DX, pioneer in women's wrestling, was found dead in her apartment in Redondo Beach, California, at the age of 46, I believe. Kind of shocking considering in recent months, you've seen like her active Twitter feed, photos of her at wrestling conventions, looking healthy, looking cleaned up, and it's you hope that when you see somebody like this, that it's like, oh, they're on a good track. Maybe even a couple of years, WWE will finally sort of get their shit together as it pertains to
And welcome
CHYNA.
her back.
Welcome her back, and she'll be in her rightful place in the WWE Hall of Fame. Wrestling is a business that is hard living.
Yes.
Recently, WWE has been making strides with their wellness policy to I don't want to make amends, but to be more aware of their wrestlers' health and livelihoods.
Yeah.
Because it's bad luck when your entire industry has a stunning mortality rate. Like
At a young age, too.
At a young age.
Yeah.
I think Chris Benoit was probably the beginning of them looking very seriously into a wellness policy, like an actual wellness policy. And we've seen wrestlers right now, Adam Rose and
Connor from the Ascension.
are on suspension for violating it. And so they've been better about it. But with CHYNA specifically, you know, since she left the company in 2001.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
In 2004, she got into the adult entertainment industry, which, you know, I'm not passing judgment on anybody who wants to make a sex tape or get into porn, but I understood Triple H's point of view
About not putting her in the Hall of Fame in terms of people, specifically younger people,
Right.
going and Googling her name.
Right.
And the first hits that come up on Google would be her adult work, not
right,
her wrestling
because
work.
as late as, I want to say 2013, I think it was 2013. So from 2004 to 2013, she dabbled in porn. She did like, I want to say 8 movies or something. When I was doing my research yesterday, I wasn't researching her movies. I was looking at CHYNA on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
And so I understand that point of view, because it's kind of a bad, like, I mean, to be honest, recently, like, she has been best known for doing the porno,
Yeah.
as being the wrestling chick who went into porno, and that's
Yeah.
sad. It's fucked up. But I think now with her death, I think the attention will shift to where it should be, and that's on how she basically changed the industry and how women could be viewed, even though that's not the road they took with more wrestlers like her.
Yeah.
You were just reading on Wikipedia and you saw that apparently while Vince McMahon was mulling over his decision to hire her, WCW saw what they could have with her.
Yeah, and wanted her to be a part of the NWO.
Right. Of course, she ended up signing with WWE. She had a romantic relationship, I guess, with Triple H for quite some time.
Yeah.
And she at one point, I believe she was the number one contender for the World Heavyweight title.
Correct.
And that just goes to show how legit she was.
Yep.
How people took her
Yep.
to be this threat to the men.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like she was one of them. She wasn't like, she won the women's championship.
Yeah.
But she was way above that.
Yeah, well, she also won the Intercontinental title twice.
And that was like, I mean, she literally springboarded over like the European title, because
Yeah.
the European title's like down here, the TV title's down here,
Yeah.
Intercontinental's up here,
Yeah.
and her work with Jeff Jarrett, with
Chris Jericho.
with Eddie Guerrero, she fought Kurt Angle. that was some groundbreaking work. Whenever you saw them in the ring together, you never thought, oh, this is a woman in there against a man. It was two competitors who could fuck each other up equally.
Even from her very early days in WWF, she was built up as a credible threat to men and women.
They built her character up in the most perfect way imaginable. When you have Triple H and Shawn Michaels doing this sort of Shawn Michaels had already been established as a primetime main event player, world champion.
Yeah.
And you have Triple H, who's the biggest up-and-coming guy. You put those two guys together as sort of this juvenile act, but still a major threat in the main event scene.
Yeah.
And then you have CHYNA, who they defer to.
Yeah.
That's their bodyguard.
Yeah.
That was brilliant.
Yep.
To build her up that way, the bodyguard to these big-time players.
Yeah.
That's why you see her as the big threat she was. That's what made her believable.
Yep.
I always go back to this. I posted on my Twitter last night, the Corporate Rumble episode of Raw is the perfect example of CHYNA at her peak. Why you could see her as a legitimate threat to the world title.
Yeah.
You had the Corporation versus DX, and I forget what was on the line. Something was on the line. I forget what it was. But it was something major, like a spot somewhere. I don't know. But you had the Corporation basically ran through DX. Triple H was the last one in the ring, and it was him and Boss Man. And you think that's the end of it, but then Vince McMahon's music hits. And he's got his tank top on, and he's huge.
Yeah.
He's massive.
Yeah.
He comes strutting down there with his Briscoe and Patterson.
Yeah.
He ends up throwing both Boss Man and Triple H out. You think, oh, McMahon's won. Nobody in the arena, nobody in the building had any thought that CHYNA would even be involved in this.
Yeah.
DX music hits, which is in itself.
Yeah.
And it's funny, whenever DX's music hits, when they're not coming for like fresh to the ring, like it was just the break. It was like immediately. So everybody got jazzed, and you think for a half second, you think, wait, who? And CHYNA comes out with this look of determination on her face, not fucking around. And McMahon looks, and he's fucking freaked out. And they choreograph her brilliantly. She goes around the other side of the ring while Briscoe and Patterson are trying to keep her back. And Patterson says, "I'll hit you." He does that. But he's all like goofy old man. And there's no thought in your mind that he's a threat to her.
Yeah.
Neither of these goons are a threat to her. Stone Cold's music hits. And the crowd, it's virtually neck and neck. The pop he gets, and that's peak Stone Cold. And the pop she had gotten 2 minutes earlier. Stone Cold says, "Come here," throw his ass out to CHYNA. McMahon goes up to Stone Cold. CHYNA hits the ring, throws McMahon out. I don't know if you notice this, but he snaps his neck against, and it's like, holy shit, that's dangerous. But that reaction that she got was proof positive that she was as big a superstar as any in that moment and during that time.
Oh yeah. It's incredible to think of what she accomplished in the span of 5 or 6 years.
Yeah,
it's pretty, stack that 5 or 6 years up to a vast majority.
How fast?
Or even like
that was that was barely even a 3-year period.
Take Stone Cold and The Rock probably out. And what she did in that time frame matches up probably better than just about anybody.
Absolutely.
Even probably compares favorably to what Triple H did.
I love that while she was IC champion, she had her own female valet, the Cat, who was tiny, and dressed up like CHYNA, and that was, that said it all. It's like she can have her own female valet. She's not above that. There was never any indication of, I don't match up with the guys. Like, no, she will fuck you up.
Yeah.
So this is obviously hugely, hugely sad news. It was one of those things. I think we've talked about it on the show. I don't know about recently, but relatively recently, we've talked about how long it would take for CHYNA to get back into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, we've talked about it a couple times.
And we've been on the side of about 5 years or so. Because I googled just CHYNA's name, CHYNA, like maybe CHYNA WWE, something like that. You Google and you don't see any, like there's 1 or 2 shots of her in like porno stills, not like actually doing stuff.
Yeah.
But it's all WWE stuff. It's
Yeah.
all like her as the IC champion. I mean, a lot of stuff is her as the IC champion.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's an absolute drag. It's an absolute drag that she didn't live long enough. I mean, 45, 46 is,
I know.
yeah, it's so young.
way too young.
It's like we're rounding that, you know, soon enough.
And it is a bummer that now when she eventually gets into the Hall of Fame, it's going to be posthumously.
Yeah.
Because she deserved, you know, even just based solely on her contributions to the industry, she deserved to have that moment
Yeah, absolutely.
at the Hall of Fame ceremony. And it's a bummer that she'll never get that.
Yeah. There's been a couple of reports out, like apparently there are all sorts of pill bottles found.
Mm-hmm.
You had mentioned that somebody had said that, you know, they were thinking intervention.
Yeah, I think Meltzer on Wrestling Observer mentioned that. You know, she was, you know, after she stopped wrestling for WWE, she was on some of those VH1 reality shows. She was on This Real Life. She was in Celeb Rehab. So, you know, she had some substance abuse issues.
Yeah.
But it's a drag. It's a bummer, man.
Yeah, it's an absolute tragedy. So, anyways, we just wanted to, you know, whenever that was big news. That was huge news. And whenever that kind of thing happens, you know, it's like we can, okay, let's come at you guys instead of waiting until Tuesday or whatever, and hit you guys up, and because I know everybody wants to know, hey, what do you guys think about this?
Well, it's also, you know, it's good to reminisce about what she brought to this industry and kind of honor her in that respect.
Right, absolutely. So anyway, she'll be very missed, and we'll talk to you guys. We'll talk to you guys when we talk to you guys. Like us later.
Yep.